The multiple faces of Jim DiMaggio. Get this into your brain, people. 40 years old, 5 foot 9 inches tall, 150 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. Described as a loner, non-materialistic, more interested in video games than anything else. Well, now you can also add wanted for kidnapping and murder. DiMaggio was a tech-savvy guy. This much we know. He'd recently been laid off. His finances were in pretty bad shape, apparently, and he was about to lose his home. Now, because of that, those who knew him say he had slipped into a depression. And his Facebook page seems to kind of back that up a little bit. I mean, this was one of the last posts, a quote from W.M. Lewis that says, "The tragedy of life is not that it ends so soon, but that we wait so long to begin it." I want to bring Judy into the conversation here. I'm looking at this thinking, okay, could the loss of his job and the potential loss of his home cause him to suddenly become this violent person that nobody knew before?
Well, Christy, I think there was something underlying to begin with, and oftentimes it takes a big stressor for that to really come out in an individual. But he was described as a loner. You know, he was addicted to video games, and especially this video game EverQuest, which is a way to take on a different identity and feel powerful. And maybe he didn't feel that way in his own life, and, you know, this video game was a way of channeling that. And it's a way of escaping from his life, which was deteriorating more and more after time. And so I really think that all of these stressors together was a huge break for him.
Well, and if this was a downward spiral, it could have really hit rock bottom. As we learned some of these details, that we're sort of progressing day by day, getting more nuggets. Apparently, friends of Hannah say he became obsessed with this teenage girl. Take a listen.
There was nothing ever to show any indication of this. Everybody you could even talk to loved him. He would give you the shirt off his back, and he was there to help at any time you called, and nothing ever like this indicated anything. I can't fathom what happened in Jim's head. What happened? He obviously just lost it.
I've just recently learned about a confession that Hannah's made to my girls, and I honestly believe that Jim has snapped and couldn't handle the infatuation that he had with Hannah.
Okay, so what can we learn about this? Because this is really what Raising America is all about. What are the lessons that people can take home for their own families? That mother there was talking about her daughter giving her some information that Jim was obsessed with Hannah. Here's the detail that's important. She didn't learn this until after. And here's what everyone should think about. Parents need to talk to their kids.
But
they
it's not
need
just that.
to understand the relationships that they're having and whether or not any of them raise red flags.
But kids need to talk to their parents. And how do we get, let me ask you that, Judy, how do we get teenagers to recognize, okay, this is a secret that I have to keep to myself, but this is a secret that I need to tell somebody about? How do we drill that into them?
You know, I think the communication between parents and children have to start very early, and parents have to model that it's okay to talk about all types of information, and they need to sort of get that message to them when they're at a very young age, before some of this provocative stuff can come up when they become preteens and teenagers. And I think sometimes, you know, there are parents who, they don't want to believe something negative is happening, and so they push away the negative content. No, that's not really happening. Don't say that. This is somebody we trust. And, you know, actually people like this, you know, people who kidnap, people who murder, they're always surprising, you know, to their neighbors and friends. Everybody seems to think that they're nice, and there's a way that they have about them to sort of pull these people in, right? They have to get that trust to get close enough. And so I think parents have to start educating their children at a very young age that, you know, here are the steps that you need to take if anything is concerning, and if you don't want to come to us, here are some other people that you can go to, like your teachers, maybe a counselor, and just give them some options, right? Even hotlines, so that if they don't feel comfortable going to their parents, there are these other options, because sometimes kids just don't feel that level of comfortability with their own parents.
What about the fact, Mike, that as they look for him, they may be changing the appearance? I mean, that's pretty common.
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah. No, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, and that's why I'm glad we're showing these different pictures, you know, him with a beard, him without a beard. Think about Herb with shorter hair, with darker hair, that kind of thing. You know, if you see an adult with someone who looks like a teenager, if you, just like the lieutenant from San Diego Sheriff said, if you think you see something, say something. Let somebody know about it. Even if you're wrong, let somebody know, because that's how we're going to catch this guy.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I mean, we think we know somebody. What behavior, Mike, because you've done so many investigations, what behavior should alert us that suddenly there might be a dangerous side to this person that I haven't seen before?
Well, what we were reading in social media, on Facebook, what kind of things has he been tweeting? What kind of things has he been texting to Hannah? You know, and Hannah, again, now we're hearing, and it's always after the fact, John. It's always after the fact do we hear, oh, yeah, well, she told us this. The doctor's right, Judy's right. You have to have a dialogue with your kids and let them know. We just did the predator test. You know, you start when they're kids. Hey, if something happens to you, let us know.
And if it's consistent, hopefully they'll habituate that,
exactly.
right? They'll habituate that. DiMaggio's ex-wife, have you heard about this? Calls the suspect nerdy, but says he was great with her son. So she talked about why that marriage fell apart.
He was great until we got married. After we got married, then he no longer did anything with my son and myself. He would just stay up all night on those video games.
Specifically, a video game called EverQuest. We're digging deeper into that for you.